I'm fine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon from the Bay Area. We're going to give it just a few minutes and while everybody joins the session. I'm sorry we're a little bit late. The wonderful part about technology are also the complications that come with it. So thank you for your patience. We appreciate that. And we're very grateful to have you join us today to learn a little bit more about the Master of Engineering in IEOR. And today with us, we have our department chair, Professor Atamturk, our head graduate advisor for the MEng in IEOR, Professor Adler. And we have some distinguished alumni who are also joining us today. Nick Staus, yes. Ankit Dutta, Francesco Piccioli. Am I pronouncing your last name, Francesco, correctly?
It's Piccoli, but it's
Piccoli.
Fine.
Okay, Piccoli. Well, I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. And Joel, can you pronounce your last name for me, please?
Yeah, it's Varghese.
Varghese.
Yeah.
Terrific.
James Patchen, substation specialist.
Okay, so we will, I think, get started here in just a few, but we're so happy that everybody is around. And I just want to also kind of preface in my personal space that I have a lot of people sharing the same table right now. So forgive me for any background noise. I think we're holding steady so far, yes. At the number of participants. So Professor Atamturk, if you'd like to start us off.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you all for joining our information session about the Master of Engineering program in the Department of Industrial Engineering Operations Research at UC Berkeley. I'd like to send you all a warm welcome from the sunny California. So what I will do is a quick overview, and I plan to spend about 10 minutes on it. If I can move my slides. Yes, now it's going too fast. Yes, great. So first I want to mention so our location, UC Berkeley is in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is really a world center of innovation and entrepreneurship in high-tech, healthcare, and design. And so if you sort of browse through the history of the sort of contributions of UC Berkeley, a few of them are listed here, from healthcare to high-tech, the Unix operating system, to all the way to recent in genomics, the CRISPR technology. They have all come out of UC Berkeley, and Professor Doudna received just last year the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the CRISPR technology. And if you look at the sort of the ecosystem of sort of companies that have sort of come out of this innovative sort of environment, so all the sort of names that you see the companies in the sort of Bay Area, so UC Berkeley is surrounded by these companies, and our students are sort of deriving all the innovation in these companies that are literally changing the way we live, work in this century. And I should also note that the names here are probably quite well known to you. I'm expecting you're using some of their services or products already, but probably for each one of them, there is at least 100 others that are similar sort of companies that are just starting at early stage startups that our students are working, and probably you'll hear about their names in 5-10 years down the line. So brief history of our department. IEOR department is one of the first departments in the world, actually, in this area, i.e. Industrial Engineering Operations Research, and it was started in the 1950s. You may know Professor George Danzig, who is known as the father of linear programming. He was actually a student at Berkeley and then one of the early faculty members in our department. Our department is regularly ranked in the sort of top 5 in the US, and recently, I think a couple of days ago, was announced by US News that now it is number 3 in the nation. Sort of very quickly, the department name has sort of 2 areas: industrial engineering and operations research. These are 2 intimately linked areas. Operations research refers to the more theoretical component that includes optimization, stochastics, and statistics on sort of modeling problems and developing sort of algorithm solution methods for those models. Whereas industrial engineering refers to application of these operations research methodologies into various industrial sort of systems across numerous industries. At a very high level, our department really brings together domain expertise in theory, in optimization, stochastics, and data science and machine learning, and puts them together, infuses them with application domains, in particular, robotics, supply chains, financial systems, energy systems, and healthcare systems. On our department webpage, you can find more about these sort of research areas. I just wanted to highlight that our department is growing very fast. In the last 5 years, our enrollments have grown more than 100%, and this growth has been across all programs, graduate and undergraduate, and we are very happy with that demand that we're seeing. And so one of the reasons that our students are interested in our program is that all the sort of companies that you've seen the logos earlier, they are looking for sort of to hire graduates of our programs. Very quickly, I want to mention a few recent additions to our faculty. Barna Saha joined in the fall of 2019. Her research expertise is in subcubic algorithms, which is very relevant when you deal with very large data sets. And she is a world leader in that area. Very recently won a presidential award for her research. Just recently in 2020, we hired Professor Rajan Udwani. He has a PhD from MIT and did a postdoc at Columbia before that. And his research area is approximation algorithms and their applications in revenue management and supply chains. Fast. Another recent hire is Professor Daniel Krutinsky, who had his PhD from Rutgers University, and his research interests are in reinforcement learning algorithms and the understanding when the theoretical guarantees and practical guarantees sort of are close to each other. And the next one is a new professor that we are in the process of hiring, Professor Mastrolia. So he is going to join in the fall. He is currently an assistant professor at École Polytechnique in Paris, and his research area is stochastic processes and finance. So he's going to be a great addition to our fast growing fintech area in the Master of Engineering program. And with these additions, our department currently has 21 faculty members. And we're also listing the staff. We have 6 staff in sort of working on various areas. And you met Heather at the beginning of this presentation. Keith is our communications director. Rebecca Poling is our department manager. And I'm sure you're going to meet with the others as well once you join the department. So sort of a very sort of quickly, 21 faculty, 25% of our faculty are female, 6 staff. And this year we have about 400 students and about 100 of them in the Master of Engineering area. These numbers are a little low than normal due to the pandemic. We have had a large number of sort of deferrals this year. In a normal year, the numbers are about 50% higher than what is shown here. And I should mention that about 42% of our students across the board are female, and 6% are underrepresented groups. Just a few sort of career highlights in the remaining minute or so. These are recent placements of graduates of our Master of Engineering program, and all of the Masters of Engineering graduates find a job either while they are in the program before finishing the program, or within 2 months after finishing the program. 100% of the graduates have consistently found jobs. And the average base salary of the class of 2019 is $114,000. You can find more detailed information at the link bottom of the page. Just a few sort of listing of the sort of companies where our students were placed. Finally, I want to mention the sort of job titles of the students in these companies. Very interestingly, while our department is called Industrial Engineering and Operations Research, you will see that the most prominent, the largest group is in data science, machine learning, and data analyst. And it is not surprising because of the type of courses that we offer in optimization, stochastics, and machine learning. And actually, if you look at across the board of all engineering graduates from all departments, IEOR department places the most in terms of data scientist positions, machine learning positions, more than computer science. You would see computer science graduates to be placed more in software engineering. But when it comes to machine learning and data science, the IEOR department leads in this area. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here and hand it over to Professor Adler, who's going to give an overview of the Master of Engineering degree program.
Okay, Heather. Next slide. Okay, so basically, you know that this degree, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, has 2 parts. Has the technical part, which controlled by the department, and then the leadership one, which is done for all the students from all departments. I know that you are getting informed about the other part, so my presentation will be basically about the technical part that done by the IEOR department. And this is just a general description of what it is. We try to give you a set of tools to manage, operate, and improve system. You already heard Chair Atom Talk tell you about the type of jobs that people get, so I would not elaborate too much of that, but you get, as we believe, an excellent preparation to do this, and the proof is that our graduate of this program get hired. There is a lot of internship and also through the project, Capstone project, people get involved with companies and then get engaged and typically get a job there quite often. And so next slide. This is about our program. You can see that here, technically there are 3 concentrations, but it's really the first one, the management science and engineering, is really the general, the basic degree. We call it concentration just to be consistent with the other things. But basically, this program covers the technical part, cover whatever is available to our PhD and master student. So all graduate courses that we have, and I'll elaborate a little bit later what you need to take, all of them are open to you, and you can choose whatever you like to get out of that list. They're going to be also in our website, there are things like tracks in which you can take some courses, couple of courses that are the same area, so you can get specialized in something if you want. It's not a requirement. However, we have 2 specific concentrations that develop over the time. The program is already exists for 11 years, and the concentration is about 3 years old. One of them is a fintech, which is really financial engineering together with machine learning. This is an extremely popular area. We have a huge demand for that. And the people who take this concentration have to take some extra courses and have to do their project only within that concentration. I'm not going to talk about today much about either concentration or fintech at the next one. I'll talk in a minute. You can call the professors who are leading that, Professor Shingu about the fintech and Professor Lee Fleming about the intellectual property and entrepreneurship strategy, and they can give you more data about it. Heather, just a question to you. There are no presentation about these 2 concentrations today, are there?
No.
Yeah, so, but you can get information either through our website or talking directly to the professor. I just want to add the intellectual property is something about patents and other things, how to manage it, which Professor Lee Fleming, who lead it, he's a world expert in that area. The same thing about Professor Shingu. She's a world leader in the fintech area, both in the theoretical and the practical area. But as I say, I would not talk much about it, but I'd like you to know that the fintech, I'll make my comment that in a minute. So go to the next slide and I'll say what I want to say. Next slide. Okay. So here is, in a nutshell, what the 3 possibilities of graduation are. The management science engineering, that's the default one. Basically, you have 2 core courses, optimization analytics and risk modeling, simulation, data analysis, which I'll talk about it in the next slide. And then you have to take 2 technical electives. And basically, we have a list of courses that count to these technical electives. They all have to be within the department. That's a requirement of the university. And I'll talk more about the possibilities there. So overall, you need to take 4 courses in the IEOR department on graduate level and for letter grades. So that's the general degree. I'll talk more about it in a minute. The fintech has the same requirement of the MEng, of the general degree, but there are some extra restrictions. One of them, you need to take the course about the data application in data analysis, which is really a machine learning course. And then you have to take 2 out of list of 3 courses that are about financial engineering. In the intellectual property also, you have to take the same core courses. You have to have 4 technical electives. But on top of that, there are 2 courses, which are really not IEOR courses, but general engineering courses that are taught by Professor Lee Fleming. I just want to add, that's the thing that I wanted to say before. If for some reason you are in the fintech or in the intellectual property program, and for some reason you are not able to do the extra work required, but you do all the requirement with respect to the general degree, you will still get a degree. It just won't be in with the specification that it's fintech or intellectual property. As to move from the general one into those concentration, the fintech intellectual property, it's not, there is no really a way to get there in smoothly, but you can petition when you come here, and if the leaders of those two programs accept you, you will be able to join this program. We don't forbid it, but it's required some effort, and it's not guaranteed at all. Next slide. Okay, so those are the core courses. One of them, which I have the honor to teach, is IEOR 240 Optimization Analytics. This is really a course in optimization that tries to give you the tool to do it. We already have optimization courses, graduate optimization courses in the department that I'll relate to them a bit later, but this is course specifically designed for Master of Engineering, which means while it's Berkeley, so we give you some good theoretical idea behind it. It's like a race driver has to do something about the engine to be a real professional. It's really concentrate about applications more than theory. So, but you do get some ideas about the concept, mathematical concept behind this behind the optimization. That take about the first 3 or 4 weeks. Next slide. The next slide is IEOR. Sorry, I lost my screen. Okay, IEOR 241, Risk Modeling, Simulation, and Analysis. And it's basically about probability modeling, statistical data analysis, applied stochastic analysis. So this is, again, similar to what we do about the 4.2 with respect to optimization. We have very good courses, graduate courses for PhD and masters. By the way, in the department, we don't have a separate courses for PhD and master. We just have graduate courses that cater for those two groups. And so we have one which is very good and very theoretical. This one is a not more practical one. Give you the tools, especially if you want to take courses in machine learning, it gives you the background. The same with optimization. It gives you the idea behind it, so it will be easier for you to take courses in machine learning. Next. Okay, we recognize that some of you might have already courses that are similar to 240, 241 in your undergrad degree. If this is the case, you can petition to take the kind of the PhD master program in this one, which are IEOR 262A and IEOR 263A. And it says here a little bit about what you got there, but you can see it on the website. I would not dwell on it right now. I believe you're going to get a copy of all of these slides, so you can look at it later. But in order to do that, you have to petition, and the petition have to be both for the teacher of 240, 241, and the teacher of 262A, 263A. You're in little luck that these two persons are really one in terms of for 240, 262A, because I teach both of them. So it's enough just to talk to me. Next. And now we talk about the other two courses. So as you see, you have to take 2 core courses or an alternative for them. And then you have a bunch of courses. Now, typically, when we have this meeting, visitor meeting in previous years, I would already can tell you what is going to be given in the fall and in the spring, and tell you a little bit about those courses. Now I can't, because the university doesn't really have the plan, exactly the course schedule of either the fall or the spring, and that's because of the pandemic. There is a debate or consideration, discussion in campus whether or not they're going to be remote, whether or not they're going to be in person, or whether or not they're going to be a hybrid. My understanding, but it's only understanding, there is no guarantee there, that because of the vaccine situation, it probably would be in person, even in the fall semester, but not guaranteed whatsoever. And then most likely in the spring. Also, I just want to add that we're also aware that it's not only a health issue for some of you, but also a visa issue. Again, we can't guarantee anything, but we are very aware of the situation that maybe some student would not be able to present in the campus in the beginning of the fall. We are planning to do something about it via remote teaching. You will get information about it whenever we will do that. Right now, I cannot tell you, but we have the whole this year, taught remotely. We have a lot of experiences in it, and we are aware that we may need to provide remote access, at least to the core courses in the next semester. Now, if I want to go over the technical electives, so there is a big list. By the way, on the website, there is the whole list, and it's changed a little bit because not all graduate courses are available to MEng student, but about 99% of them do. Some of them are just not technical enough, so we don't approve them as technical electives. Basically, in this class, and I'll show you more later, like the introduction to financial engineering, data system, and so on. I'll go some of them are designed with Master of Engineering student in mind. You have to understand we have a problem because those courses are general courses for all graduate students, but some of them, they take the preliminary course of optimization and stochastic processes, the PhD master courses, and some of them take the 240, 241, the Master of Engineering program. So I basically do the talk to all the professors who give courses which are not Master of Engineering and ask them to find out whether or not the preparation of the 240, 241 are sufficient to do well in the course. Basically, we have 3 levels of courses. We have some that are designed specifically for MEng student in mind, like 235 and 242. Those are data system and signal. Both of them are machine learning and very popular. We have like something like 221, 222 that belong to the fintech, but that doesn't mean that if you're not in fintech, you can still take these courses and get knowledge about this area. And then they have course like 250, Introduction to Production Planning, which is a course designed for, it's an old course, many years, designed for regular graduate student. But we talk with the professor who teach that, they know that Master of Engineering student coming in, and they usually can participate and do well in these courses. And then we have another group, which is like the 262A, 263A, and 266, which are really designed for mostly PhD student. So you are welcome to that if that's your wish, but in those one, it will be a little bit tougher to get through the course based on what you get in Master of Engineering, but it's completely open to you. Next slide. This is more of the same. There are some courses like the 224 and the 242, which are designed for Master Engineering. There are some that are general, like 252, 253, the service operation and supply chain, that are open to everybody, but professor would teach that they know that people are Master of Engineering and they have a little bit less theoretical preparation. By the way, it goes also the other way around. Professor would teach these courses, communicate to me and to the instructor of 241, and we may add stuff into our course that prepare you well for these particular courses. And you will get more information about it once we know the specific courses that are going to be taught. Next one. And this is just the same thing. Some courses you see learning and optimization, the person who teach that have a Master of Engineering in mind, and there is something like 258 and 267 queuing and control optimization, in which it's only for those of you who can handle the mathematical part of it, but you're completely welcome to go to this course. In Berkeley, there is quite a generous period in which you can drop courses. So you can sign to more than one course, and then if it doesn't work well, you may drop one or two to fit your level of understanding. Next. There is technical comprehensive exam. It's important to know about it. It's a requirement by the university. All IEOR MEng students have to take it. The exam is really covered on the material in 240, 241. So whether or not, if you take these two courses, you're very well prepared for the exam. But if you take alternative one for them, you have to be aware that that's the case. But you will get access to the website of the courses, so you can see what taught in them, what notation is used, what homework, sample questions, and so on. The exam itself, to be comfortable for student, is done at the end of the fall semester, after first semester, because that's where you take the 240, 241, and the exam is about this material. So you don't have to be bothered with it 6 months later. So it's taken during the review, reading, and recitation week, which is in Berkeley. It's a week before the end of instruction and the beginning of exam, and it's missing here in the fall semester. I forgot to add it into that slide, but it's really taking in the fall semester. Next slide. And finally, the capstone. I'm not going to talk much about the capstone because this is really something that you will get a lot of information about it in your other information session. Just that you know that basically there are 3 types of capstone. One of them relate to the concentration, in which they are very related to the concentration, and you have to take them in order to be the concentration. Some of them are general university project. That means they are professors who have a lab or have some project already going on, and then you get into that group and do it within these professors. Or, which is the most common for IEOR student, is partner project. That means it's usually with an industry partner that using external technology. So you work mostly with real hands-on, real project with a company, and you have a professor supervising it from the point of view of the Master of Engineering program. Next slide. That's just sample of projects that done in the last few years. I leave it to you to read it when you get the copies of that slide. Go next one. This one really seems to be very similar to what you got from Professor Atamturk before. So I would, again, just leave it to you to read it later. I just see the first time, took my eyes at Pfizer. Is somebody work at Pfizer, good for them. They help us in that thing. Do we have the other companies? I don't see, but that's nice to notice. Next one. Next slide. Oh, it says itself what it is. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Adler.
Which whether
So I will go over sort of just a quick snapshot, a review of what was just discussed of what's required in the degree and sort of a checklist format, so to speak. And feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box for either Professors Atomturk or Adler, including our alumni. And after I'm done going through my very, very brief piece, I would like each of the alumni to introduce themselves and what year they graduated, so you are aware, as some I think graduated before the concentrations were in place. Okay, so again, just to do a quick review of the 4 main requirements of the degree. There are 12 units of IEOR 200 plus tech electives. 12 units is equivalent to 4 classes. That's for the management science and engineering, otherwise known as the general track or concentration, all for a letter grade. The list is longer if you are in FinTech or IP. Second is the technical comprehensive exam that Professor Adler just reviewed, and that happens in December. The third is the leadership exam, which is hosted by the Fung Institute, and that occurs in January. And the last milestone is the capstone, and that process begins in the beginning-ish of the fall term, and the capstone is completed at the end of spring. All of the departments are putting together checklists for their MEng programs, and the Fung Institute will be posting those on the website just to make it a little bit easier for our students to track. So a bit more in depth, the length of the program is 1 academic year, so fall and spring semester, a minimum of 3.0 cumulative GPA is expected to be maintained throughout the program, and that is a graduate division requirement. In order to maintain full-time status, you'll need to be enrolled in at least 12 units, which is easy to do in terms of combining boot camp, leadership courses, and your core courses and any additional tech electives that you might be completing. The total degree by the end of the 2 semesters should be a minimum of 25 graduate units. This again should be easy to achieve. It's built into the program already in terms of being enrolled in your leadership and your tech electives and capstone. So your typical plan, if you are in the general concentration, is to complete your core coursework in fall 240 and 241. They are only offered in the fall, not fall and spring. And then spring, typically 2 electives would be completed. For FinTech, it's usually 3 or 4, depending upon the instructor availability in the fall. And for, excuse me, and for IP, I believe it's 3. There are the 2 comprehensive exams that I just went over, your tech and leadership, and the capstone that happens in fall and spring.
How many days?
So these are the most common questions that we typically receive. And I'm just going to go through each of them briefly so we can have an opportunity to hear directly from the students and their experience, because I think that their fingers close to the pulse there. So the first, may I waive technical coursework? It is possible, but now with the new alternative courses in place, specifically for 240 and 241, where instead, if you'd like to take a more advanced course, you can take either 262A or 263A to replace it. So this was, so to clarify, waiving out of technical coursework was more of a common occurrence prior to this last academic year. If you're any specific concentration, you'll need to speak with your faculty lead about any of those additional courses. CPT is possible, however, it's rare during the academic program, because typically CPT, if you're an international student, has to do with usually some type of an academic-based internship, which requires certain hours. If you are considering this, please, please, please first consult with the Berkeley International Office, and then you can contact me. However, there are some steps that would need to be taken, and the request would need to be reviewed by Professor Adler at length. But again, we just want to emphasize that the priority is the MEng degree, and to get through your academics, it is a very intense, quick, brief program. So we want to make sure that you have plenty of time committed to complete the degree itself. An extremely common question about extending the program beyond the 1 year. The program is a 2-year lockstep program, and third term, which is typically how we phrase it, is requesting a third term is by exception only, and usually is because of any type of outstanding degree requirement that remains. Taking additional coursework, absolutely. So if you feel as if you would like to take advantage of more of the coursework that might be outside of IEOR and you have the opportunity to, by all means, you certainly can. Your max unit cap is 20.5 per semester. The EECS courses, electrical engineering, computer science, are extremely, extremely, extremely impacted. Even their own students oftentimes can't be enrolled. So there's no guarantee that you'll get enrolled into the specific classes that you want, especially those that are highly impacted. But definitely, if you have the opportunity, you can absolutely do that as long as those minimum course requirements are met. Professor Adler talked a bit about switching concentrations, and I'll just reiterate again that it might be a possibility if FinTech and IP's faculty leads decide to open it up for applications. And this usually happens at the beginning of fall, once we have a good idea of what each of the concentration numbers look like. If you're currently in FinTech and IP and might be considering moving to the general track, also known as management science and engineering, that's an easier switch. So I think if that's something that you're considering, I would just recommend reaching out to either Professor Gohl or to Professor Fleming, depending upon your concentration, to discuss it with them first, and providing the courtesy that you would like to switch. So, woohoo! That was super fast. Our website here is at the bottom, and we spent a lot of time this last year updating it. So please take your time to review the degree. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what questions have popped up and stop sharing my screen here. Here's some additional ways to get in touch with us via social media. And while I am looking at those Q&As, if I can go ahead and hand it over to the alumni to quickly introduce yourself, what year you graduated, if you had a concentration, if they existed at the time, and what you're currently doing, and perhaps just a very brief statement about how the MEng has impacted your current career. I'm going to punt it first over to Francesco.
Sure, Heather, I'll break the ice. Nice to meet you all. I'm Francesco, I'm Italian, and I graduated from the Master Engineering program in IEOR last year. So 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, was an easy time. So I actually got the chance to attend the Master Engineering program, both in person and remotely. It was a tough time for job seekers, but we all got through it, and we all got jobs at the end, most of us. I'm now working in the San Francisco Bay Area as a product manager in a blockchain security startup called Unchained.ai. And my experience in the MEng was very positive. It completely changed my perspective on the on the job world, right? And my approach to job seek and to finding job in the Bay. It opened me not only opportunities job-wise, but also networking opportunities that I would have never imagined. I was able to take classes not only in IEOR, which is a great department, but as well in the Haas school. It really changed my academic career and opened up a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors. So I'm very happy to be here today and happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Nick.
Sure, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Nick Staus. I'm graduate of the MEng program in 2016. And we didn't have concentrations back then, but if I had to pick, I'd say I focused on supply chain management. I took IEOR 251 and 252, I believe, with Professor Leachman to get my foundation of supply chain knowledge. I would say, like Francesco said, the networking is a really great benefit of this program. After I graduated, I went into the semiconductor industry as a supply chain analyst. And in the nearly 5 years I was there, we hired 5 MEng students from my graduating class and future graduating classes. I think at one time there were 7 or 8 of us at my company at the same time. Now I'm currently a business operations manager at Amazon Web Services. I recently started there like 3 weeks ago, so I'm pretty excited about that. And one thing I do want to highlight about the program is that, yes, a lot of people land really awesome, amazing jobs at these top companies right out of school. A lot of people don't go into these top companies, but it really opens the doors long-term through your network and just through things you learn. I found that the people who I worked with from this program were much more equipped to help us solve problems that were elusive to us until we had the right team in place to do so. And solving a big problem at work is a really good way to get noticed by people around you. So it's not just for your first job out of college, because for most people, your first job is not your last job. So down the road, there's clear benefits. As for the immediate benefits, it's a really good program, particularly for me. I really wanted to pivot into tech in the Bay Area. So it was a really good way to get to the Bay Area, a 1-year program. So I didn't take too much time out of my career to do it. And I can't recommend it enough. And I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn and answer anybody's further questions after this as well. I'll punt it to Joel.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Joel. I work as a data science manager right now at eHealth. I graduated 2016, so same year as Nick, and we didn't have concentrations, but I focused most of my courses like on data science. Talking about the program, I mean, I think for me, it was amazing. Like I got the chance to like build my network, make awesome friends. I think like even they have a lot of alumni events and stuff. So you really get to meet like a lot of people. Like, I mean, I know even though they're not in my year, I know Ankit and Francesco, right? And it's great to know all these people working here, because if I ever want to go into their companies, they're just like very accessible to me. So I think apart from the courses and all the stuff the others spoke about, I would highlight that the Capstone project was one thing that I really benefited from, because I joined the program without any work experience, and I got to work on a Capstone project with the company, right? So in the 1 year of doing my master's, I was able to like leverage that Capstone project as a virtual internship. So I was not just gaining my master's, but I was actually working with the company, and that really stood out in my like interviews and stuff where I could say that, hey, I took all these courses, but I also applied these courses by working with the company on the Capstone project. So yeah, I mean, so in terms, and there are like specific skills I picked up to get into data science, which I won't talk about now, but happy to answer any other questions you guys have.
Great. I'll go last then. Hey everyone, Ankit here. I graduated 2017, no concentration, but the one thing that I do recommend is take as many classes as you can, because you can drop courses as you go through and figure out what you like. I came in initially being like, oh, I'll do supply chain. And then I was like, actually, I like analytics more. So after graduating, I went to Prosper, worked there for 3 years doing credit strategy and analytics. And I'm currently at NerdWallet as an analytics lead, supporting the entire business org. But yeah, as the people before me have mentioned, the big thing is the network of, you can reach out to former MEng alumni. They're always happy to help, happy to connect. And the other thing was just being in Berkeley. I think for me, that was great. Like, I think when I moved here directly from undergrad, so it was a great experience in general. So yeah.
Heather, you hear me?
Go for it. Yep, go for it.
I tried to answer in writing about questions about auditing, but I got some technical problems. I'll answer it right now, quickly, orally. Auditing is allowed for anybody who is in university, and it's something between you and the professor who teaches it. There is no policy about it. Most professors, definitely I'm included in that, allow students to audit the course, but they don't get they don't do the exam, and they don't get any mention of it on their diploma. So it's just that. And if you have a follow-up question, please do, but that's what I can tell you about auditing.
Thanks, Professor Adler. That is a common question as well. There was also a question that I think we didn't have a chance to answer it. The question is, I wish to pursue product management post-graduation. Could you please suggest?
Heather, I got this question. I
Okay.
answered it privately because it's not really related to other people, and asked the person to contact me in email.
Okay.
Because it's too long and it's not really applied for most of the students.
Okay. Sounds good. And then I saw another question there about Capstone that I think Nick had answered. And so the Fung Institute manages the Capstone project. And so they'll be able to provide a lot more details about how that process works in terms of selecting your capstone. But the students can absolutely, speak to their experience in selecting the capstone. If anybody would like to share, we have a couple minutes left. Would any of the alumni like to share their experience in the capstone selection process for them?
Yeah, so I think when the main thing is just to talk to the professors and the sponsors of the capstone project. So you're going to get a large variety of capstone projects that you can apply to. So looking at the longer term perspective on how does this help you with what you're looking after graduation is very important. And B, talking to the professors and understanding how you can add value to it. So it's just, open communication and understanding what are the requirements for it. How does this help you down the path? So yeah.
I can chime in here as well, Heather. Building on top of what Joel said before, and this answer also another of the question in the Q&A. I went straight from my undergrad to the master engineering program and didn't have a lot of work experience. Actually, didn't have any before joining the MEng. So really choosing the Capstone project was a way for me to get a virtual internship, right? That I was able to put in my resume, that I was able to talk about during my interviews with companies. And it really played a big role into getting me in the current company that I am in. So I actually was in the conversation with the company that I did my capstone with for a full-time position after, but the same capstone project helped me get the current position that I'm in. And it was very valuable for me. And I chose an industry partner for this exact reason, right? You might want to do a capstone led by a professor if you're more interested maybe in the research aspect of it. I was really interested in getting some work experience, and that helped out pretty well.
And maybe one thing, a final thing I'll add is that the cool thing about Capstone projects is that it's not just limited to IEOR. So there are projects in other departments that require people with IEOR skill sets, right? So you really have a huge variety to choose from. So definitely recommend you guys like going and looking at the list of the projects and see like your top 3 or 5 choices to figure out what you're interested in.
Thank you for sharing that information. I think with the capstone and something that the academic departments are typically out of the loop of is being able to hear the different impacts that that capstone experience really does have. It really is a nice blend between your academics, leadership, group dynamics, and incorporating those into your career settings, whatever you choose. I'm in I'm whoever asked this question about the TAs, I'm typing back to you right now about that. But if there aren't any other questions, we are at time at the moment. And I will absolutely share this recording to any friends and colleagues who might have missed today's session. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know how I might be able to assist. I'd like to provide a very, very, very big thank you to our alumni taking time out of your schedules to join us today and share a little bit of your experience. I feel like we should just have an hour of student panel discussion. I feel like that there's so much hardy information that comes directly from you. So I appreciate you going back into time a little bit and reflecting on your MEng degree. I called you students a little bit ago. Excuse me, it's alumni.
That's why there was a silence. So you were like, okay, who are you talking
to? They haven't aged a bit, so.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, everybody, Professor Atamturk, thank you. Did you want to share anything before we head out?
Well, thanks everyone for attending. This was really nice. It was a great opportunity to be able to talk about the program, about the department. And again, if you have additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach us by email. We're more than happy to answer questions or direct you to the right person while you're making this important decision.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Stay
everyone.
safe. Be
Good
well.
luck,
Take
everybody.
care of yourselves. See you in the fall, and good luck to our alumni. Take care. Yvette? Yvette, do we need to end the recording? Oh, okay, bye-bye.
I think that's a yes.
Yeah, let me
right as it
stop
was
the
ending,
recording.
like 5 messages showed up on the Q&A.